Hello everyone, my name is Goran, this is Alexander, and we are Cursor ambassadors for Serbia. Today we organize this meetup for the community to co-work together and talk about Cursor in our everyday workflows. For this AI workshop / presentation, we prepared two presentations. The first one is Cursor Fundamentals and AI Coding, which will host Alexander. And I prepared some niche video guide about implementing Cursor workflow into animations and UI interactions for a design page. I think you can start with AI fundamentals.
Yeah. Cool. That's perfectly said. I think it's going to be useful to you guys. So yeah. First, let's look into Cursor. How many of you guys know what Cursor is? Okay, most of you know. We have a couple of guys that are new to Cursor. So Cursor is essentially a coding tool. It helps you build software, and it does that by allowing you to leverage artificial intelligence to write code, to review code, to do testing, to do full software development lifecycle, basically. And here you can see some resources from Cursor team. So you can use documentation. You have cursor.com/workshops, which are recorded live workshops from Cursor team members. I highly recommend that one. There's a lot to be learned from this. And then there is Cursor Learn, which is hosted by Lee in the picture above. And it's also a great way to learn fundamentals about Cursor. The ecosystem, so Cursor is one of the leading AI coding platforms for software engineers, and you can access all frontier AI models through Cursor. Now, traditionally, we used to have this code-centric interface, and this is a similar UI to Visual Studio Code, or many of you older developers, you probably know this interface. It allows you to write code. And now we're moving towards the agent-first world, right? We, as the agents and artificial intelligence tool develop, we need a better way to leverage them, a better way to program. Then you can also leverage multi-agent terminals using Cursor CLI. You can even do front-end design and testing, which will Goran show a little bit about that. You can use long-running async agents running in the cloud, each agent having its own virtual machine. And I will actually show a little bit of that during the workshop. You can also have automations across the whole software development lifecycle. You can automate code reviews. You can automate testing. You can do a bunch of cool stuff here. You can connect it with project management tools like Linear. So yeah. And you can also use Cursor with other IDEs of your choice. How do you start? You can download Cursor desktop application, and pretty quickly you're good to go. Also, people who joined today's workshop, today Cowork, got Cursor credits, so you can use that as well, activate Pro Plan. All right, 3 good tips to know is what makes Cursor special is actually their semantic search engine. They have very good engine to index your code base, which allow agents to be better performant. And if you use other models through Cursor Harness, you can see the difference. Basically, it performs way better than some other harnesses. Plan mode, it's a super useful feature when you have complex tasks. It has a special system prompt that actually guides agent into how to plan for complex tasks and dissolve them into simpler, achievable goals. And finally, you can build your own skills, sub-agents. If you don't know what those are, don't be afraid, we'll cover it. But skills, rules, sub-agents, these are all pieces that can help you build better code. And you can choose different models in Cursor. You can choose some of the top frontier models. Cursor also has its own Composer 2, which is a little bit more affordable and performs nearly as good as the other ones. One feature that's been recently focused on a lot is agent orchestration. The idea here is that you can have a main agent that can delegate tasks to sub-agents, and each of these sub-agents can execute their specific tasks with their specific context. And then they can delegate results to parent agents. These are some more features that Cursor support: caching of prompts, dynamic context discovery, semantic search. And yeah, so these are some fundamentals. Now we'll jump into the code so you can see and get a sense of how this looks in practice. So this is the new Cursor interface called Cursor Free, or Agents window. And this is a little bit different than traditional IDEs, where you could see usually the file tree on the left side, and then you could see the code in the middle. And then on the right side, it will usually be a small chat interface. This one prioritizes agents, right? So on the left side, you can see many different chats that I have here. I have some chats with cloud agents in this particular environment that I set up. I have the same environment here, but for local agents, and I also have different workspaces for different projects that I can simultaneously work on. On the middle side, in the center, you have your chat with agents. Here, most of the work is being done. You can choose, when you spawn a new agent here, you can choose the workspace, you can choose the branch, and you can choose if you want to run it in the cloud or on your local machine. Now, let's get straight into example I prepared for this demo. So I have a simple project, and here we have the workshop script. So let's run it in terminal here. And the good thing is, inside Cursor, you have a tab for terminal, you have tab for code reviews, you have tab for browser, all inside the app. So today's project is called Cursor Cafe Planner. For example, on today's Cowork session, let's say we want to order some lunch. And we have some menu with noodles, with some other menu items. We can add to our plan here different items. We can also clear the plan, so you get the idea. We also have some filters for vegetarian, vegan, maximum preparation time, etc. Now, let's try to make some changes here. So first, before we start, let's actually inspect this repository to get a sense of what is it about. We can do that by going into the ask mode, which is the read-only mode. So Cursor will not make changes, it will just explain the code base. And I'm using here Composer 2 Fast, which is Cursor model. You can choose different models if you want. Some of them are better for longer tasks, for more complex tasks. But for this one, I just choose Composer. And it tells us that this is a sample Next.js app used for this demo purposes. And the idea is, in 15 minutes, I want to show you a software development lifecycle through Cursor. Next, let's create a canvas. So to understand this even better, I want to create a visual appealing interface that will explain me the project architecture. I will do that by running this canvas kill. Okay, this canvas kill is just a piece of text that tells cursor, and we can check it if we click here. So this is the skill. It essentially describes how to make a good UI interface for my project, for whatever I need. In this case, my project architecture. And it's very useful if you want to understand your code base better. So let's wait a bit for it to finish. We can see that agent is working here. All right. Oh, okay. So we're in ask mode, so this didn't work. Let me try again. So if you want to make changes, you need to be in agent mode, which is default in this view. You also have a couple of more modes, which is plan, debug. Debug is useful for debugging complex features. It also basically fixes attention on a specific problem and doesn't change anything until it figures out a way how to solve the problem. So it's useful if you want a focused, deeper debugging of a bug. And then finally, we have this multitask feature, which basically forces cursor to spawn multiple sub-agents and to do the parallel execution of the work. And Canvas is being ready here. Let's see. Okay. So the plan mode is also useful, but right now I already planned the workshop, so we don't need it. And you can see the canvas, how it looks like. So this is our architecture. We have a bunch of these TS files, components. We have, different info about the app. So let's go ahead and make a change. I want to implement a feature that will allow our agent, that will allow us to actually add multiple of the same item, multiple quantities of the same item, which we cannot do right now, right? So agent is working on that. Do you have any questions so far? Yep.
Can we use canvas mode to show the schema of like API flow, like something more complex than show the folder structure?
Yeah, definitely. So Canvas is a very useful tool, and you can use it, for example, if you connect with some analysis tools, like Sentry for errors or PostHog or other tools for observability and analytics. You can also get some data from that, draw some graphics. You can do various stuff. This canvas just allows you to have a on-demand UI, a good UI experience to be able to understand better. And so the agent is done. Now we can review the code. Review all the changes. We can commit, create PR if we want. And let's see if this actually works. So now we can see that we can increase quantity here. We can remove items. So agent done its job. And now this is not enough for me, right? I want agent, when it implements some changes, I want it to record a demo, actually. To do this, what I just did manually, I want agent to do this and to give me a video demo of the changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this agent to the cloud. I'm going to include the changes. I'm going to move agent to the cloud. And if you go to cursor.com, you can see that my cloud agent is spawning, and I set up already this environment for my cloud agent. And all right. And what I wanted to show. Okay. Now, I will tell this agent to record a demo and to create a PR so that we can finally have a final review and then to merge the PR. So I'll let it run. And you can notice that the cloud agent have a little bit different. You can see it's desktop. So each cloud agent has a virtual machine. You can take control of it. But yeah, you can also see the other things like browser and terminal, but this one, cloud desktop, is added. And while it's recording the demo, let me show you another useful feature, which is automations. So for this repository, I already set my automation. And let's rename it to Cafe Planner Automation. And what I told here is when the PR, the trigger is PR. So when the PR is open, this automation will trigger, and the instruction is review PR and leave a comment, which is pretty simple. It's going to use this GPT 5.5. It has memories here, which is like long-term memory for agent to understand my behavior to perform better in the future. And it has some tools here. So it's able to open a PR, to comment on PR, and to request reviews. So yes, when the agent finishes work, this automation is going to trigger. And another thing that I'm using for reviews is this BugBot. BugBot is basically a automation from Cursor team that is used for code reviews. You can also check it out. And okay, so we'll wait for agent to finish recording UI, but that doesn't mean that we cannot proceed. So I will just open here a new local agent, and I will continue with our plan. So let's add some rules to our code base. What are the rules? So rules are MD files that actually guide agents' actions. So in this case, I'm going to add rule for updating features MD folder when we add new features, and I'm going to add a rule for updating my to-do list. And I'm going to create a rule by calling this create rule skill. So by doing this, I will actually guide my agents, and I will tell, well, when you implement a change, I want you to actually write that change in my features file. And it's gonna, rules are triggered every time that you write a prompt to agent. So it's like your way to control it a bit more. We can check that the rules are registered, and they're registered in the .cursor rules folder. So just MD files. All right, now that we have rules, let's actually implement a couple of more features here. This time, I will use multitask mode. And the idea of these changes is we will have a better UI here. So we will improve filters. We will have a summary here of how much does this item cost. So some other changes, but why I wanted to show you this is this multitask spawned a sub-agent to plan first, right? And then, so the main agent actually plans and then delegates execution to a sub-agent. So that is this multitask feature. Let's check how we're doing here. The demo is getting ready. So you can see live how agent is doing demo. So this is the browser and agent is controlling the browser. And seems like it's almost ready. Okay, we now have a better UI here. We also added some filters for gluten-free and high protein. And if we add some items, we can also see the total cost. So the agent successfully executed this. We can also do the code review and check the changes. All right. Debugging. I mentioned that there is this debug mode. We will not go into details here, but you can try it out later if you want. Again, this is useful when you have some complex bugs that you want to focus your agent on solving specifically this bug. All right, is this ready? Let's see here. PRs, not yet. Oh, all right, we'll wait a little bit more. Last thing I want to show you here is Cursor SDK. So recently Cursor launched SDK, which allows you to build your own agents using Cursor harness. And this can be useful if you want to build your custom UIs for your application running Cursor agents, or if you want to run some longer running tasks. For example, in my case, how I did it is I implemented a script that spawns a TypeScript script that spawns a Cursor SDK agent that helps me recommend the next feature I should build based on my to-do list. And let's see how it works. So we can, here in the terminal, we can just say pm suggest. This will spawn, this will not work. Cursor agent failed to start. Okay, let me see here in this terminal. pm suggest. Okay, we need API key. So we'll create API key for this demo. How can you create API key? You can go to integrations and then you can add a new API key. So test key, we will copy it and we will actually export it here so that we can spawn our agent. And the agent will respond us what next task can we actually implement. So this is one example of Cursor SDK. There's a bunch of different implementations. You can test it and play around. Let's also see how this script works. I want to show you the code. So we have a API key here. we define API key, we create a prompt for our agent, system prompt, and then there's a simple command agent.prompt, and we choose the model, and we choose if it's going to be a local or cloud agent. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Very simple. And finally, this is completed. We can see that the PR is open. So let's check the PR here. This is the new PR. We can see that agent recorded a demo. Let's see the demo. You can see how agent is testing the app and showing us a new feature that's added. And yeah, you can share this demo with other people as well. Now finally, once this PR is ready, you can also see that Cursor Bugbot already started its work. So Cursor Bugbot is checking the code, and I will mark this as ready as well. And you can see that our custom automation also is triggered. So this is very useful. You can define many of these custom automations with different prompts, with different models that can all battle test your code before you put your eyes on it. Before you give this code to your colleagues, you can make sure that all the agents already check the code, right? Which is pretty powerful. And finally, when these automations identify bugs, I set an option that they will automatically try to fix them, and then I can merge my PR. Okay, I went through a lot here, so I want you to, if you have any questions, please let me know. Let's chat about it. Okay. The question was, if there's an issue, can we tell Cursor to solve the issue? And definitely yes. Yeah.
Debug mode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what's different in debug mode from just normal mode? What is the extra?
I would say that the debug mode focuses on this particular problem and tells agent to not make any other changes until it figures out the solution. So it sort of does writes its own tests. It writes the logs, collects all the logs, necessary logs. So you have this robust testing from the agent side, and then the agent actually asks you to reproduce the issue. So then you as a user, you go and try to reproduce the same issue. Then the agent captures all of these logs, run its tests, and then when it's sure that it actually found the solution, then you can trigger the fix, the implementation of the fix.
I have a question. I see it has a lot of things integrated in it, and I'm wondering what of that is like out of the box default, and what should be set up. Like, for example, code reviews, does it have some, again, out of the box models, or is it all custom to the project or to the person?
Essentially, you can, if you're using cloud agents, you need to integrate GitHub repository. So how it works, each cloud agent actually clones your repository into its own environment. It sets up environment with all the variables. You can set the secrets that it should access so that agent can do the work autonomously. Then within this environment, you have the flexibility to set up different things, to customize it as you wish, to choose which model to use, to choose how to set up these automations, reviews. So that's the core idea.
Yeah. In what kind of situation is multitask mode more efficient? Because if I'd like to change UI, I can use chat.
Yeah. So the idea with multitasks, well, I might not be the best person to ask this, but the idea is that it spawns multiple sub-agents, and you have this one agent that is sort of a planner, and then it delegates this particular tasks, these sub-agents which run with their own context. So That's the idea. And then they delegate the results, hand off the results to the main agent. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any time limitation for cloud mode? Like, for example, can I run 100 tasks in the cloud for a couple hours? Do you have limits?
Limits.
Can it work like during the whole day without stop?
Yes. So this cursor used to run long-running agents for like, and the agents were running for like a couple of days or even weeks. So it's definitely possible. I'm not sure if it's available to all the users, like to run the agent for 7 days in a row. But I think Goran can mention a bit more about that since his agent was running for the whole night, maybe as a fun topic. But yeah, it's definitely possible.
I got one.
Yeah.
For example, if I have 10 MCP servers
Yeah.
hooked up to my cursor, when I do a call or use an agent, does it upload all the MCP data or does it lazily load the MCP data?
If you don't need MCP server, disable them, because it will be part of the context. It needs to provide this context to agent so that agent can actually reason and understand that it needs to call this tool. And the context that it provides is actually a description of the tools, right? So all of these descriptions you need to forward to agent through context so that agent can decide if it should call a tool or not. Right.
I was hoping it can infer by itself which one it needs to call, because, for example, if I tell him to use GitHub and it uses Figma, kind of makes no sense, but still, there's probably an open issue for that integration. I was hoping that they, because they are proprietary, that they are already on that or even have it in the current version, but oh well, wishful thinking again.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
Also, token caching, does it support it?
It is supported, as we saw on the slides, but I'm not really sure how it exactly works.
Okay, so but essentially they do claim that they have token caching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions, or should we leave it to Goran? Okay, Goran.
Okay, thank you, Alexander, for this prepared topic.